Good morning, students. Today we shall discuss about another reflex. In the last few classes I was talking about the stretch reflex, which was mainly meant for regulation of muscle length, as I told you earlier. Now today we shall discuss another very important reflex which is concerned with the regulation of muscle tension. So regulation of muscle tension. Muscle tension regulation. Muscle tension regulation. For this regulation, the nature has provided another very important reflex, and the name of the reflex is the Golgi tendon reflex. Golgi tendon reflex. Now in our day-to-day practice we have got the experience that at times the muscles shall have to be contracted so powerfully, particularly in some isometric situations wherever a person is trying to lift a load, very heavy load, like just in the Olympics in Tokyo you have seen that they were trying to lift a very heavy loads, and right at this moment the muscles contract isometrically. Isometrically means the length of the muscle fiber remains the same, whereas the muscle tension goes very high. Force developed within the muscle goes very high, and it may so happen due to this high tension developed inside the muscle, there may be disruption of the muscle fibers, or there may be disruption of the tendon. That is the worst situation, disruption of the tendon from its bony attachment. To prevent this catastrophe, the nature has provided another very important reflex which is known as the Golgi tendon reflex, which says that whenever there is increased tension within the muscle, increased tension within the muscle due to forceful muscle contraction without changing its length, that is the isometric contraction, then the muscle responds by relaxation. The fibers relax. As a result of this relaxation, there is decrement of the tension inside the muscle, and the muscle is prevented from getting injured. This is the basic motto of the Golgi tendon reflex. Now let us see what is the Golgi tendon reflex. Say for example, this is a muscle fiber, single muscle fiber, or is a muscle as a whole, as I told you. This is the muscle fiber, and this is the muscle spindle. I am not going into the details because details has been explained in the last few classes so far as the muscle spindle is concerned. Now, so far as this muscle is concerned, this muscle is attached to a nearby bone by means of a fibrous tendon. By means of a fibrous tendon. This is the tendon of the muscle which is attached to a nearby bone. Now within the muscle there lies a receptor which is also a stretch receptor. Within the muscle there is a receptor which is also a stretch receptor, and from the stretch receptors the fibers arise, afferent fibers arise and goes to the nearby spinal cord. After relaying in the dorsal root ganglion and make a synaptic connection with an inhibitory interneuron. inhibitory interneuron, and that interneuron making a synaptic connection with the alpha motor neurons and is supplying the extrafusal muscle fibers. So what is happening? This is very, very important. So this is the muscle, this is the tendon of the muscle, within which there is a stretch receptor known as the Golgi tendon receptor, or Golgi tendon body, and this receptor can sense the built up tension within the muscle. Say for example, this muscle is contracting isometrically, there is no change in the length of the muscle, it is contracting. There is development of the huge force or tension within the muscle, which is transmitted via the tendon, and whenever it is being transmitted via the tendon, the Golgi tendon receptor can detect the tension, raised tension, and sends the impulse to an afferent neuron known as 1B. Can you remember? In the stretch reflex there was 1A and 2, Roman 1A and 2. But here the afferent is 1B. Rapidly conducting neuron, no doubt, sensory neuron, and that 1B goes to the nearby or corresponding spinal cord segment after relaying in the dorsal root ganglion, because everybody has to relay in this ganglion before entering the spinal cord, and from there it is making a synaptic connection with an inhibitory interneuron. This blue one is inhibitory interneuron known as Golgi bottle neuron. Golgi bottle neuron, inhibitory interneuron known as Golgi bottle neuron. And whenever this Golgi bottle neuron is stimulated by the afferent impulse by the 1B nerve fiber, it inhibits the alpha motor neuron. This negative sign indicates inhibition. This inhibits the alpha motor neuron in the anterior horn cell. So as a result of which there is less discharge of impulse to the muscle concerned, the muscle relaxes and the intramuscular tension is diminished. This is the intention of the whole reflex. Whenever there is rise in the intramuscular tension due to isometric contraction, forceful, vigorous isometric contraction, that tension is relieved or released by means of this reflex known as the Golgi tendon reflex. Now you have seen in classical stretch reflex that whenever a muscle fiber is stretched, it responds by contraction. And here, when there is increased tension built up within the muscle responds by relaxation. So it is just reverse that of the stretch reflex. Reverse that of the stretch reflex. And that's why it has got other names, as the Golgi tendon reflex or inverse stretch reflex, because it is just reverse that of the stretch reflex, or negative stretch reflex, because the original stretch reflex was a positive one. This is the negative stretch reflex. So what is Golgi tendon reflex? This is a reflex to prevent the injury to the muscle whose tension becomes very, very high due to isometric contraction, the afferent impulses pass through the 1B fiber from the originating from the Golgi tendon receptor present within the tendon, and that's why the name is Golgi tendon, because it is present within the tendon. So Golgi tendon receptor, and 1B goes to the nearby segment of the spinal cord, makes a synaptic connection with an inhibitory interneuron known as Golgi bottle neuron. This inhibitory interneuron in turn inhibits the alpha motor neuron of the anterior horn cell of the same segment, which is going to relax the muscle fibers, so that the built up tension is diminished and the muscle is prevented from getting damaged. Is this clear to you? Now, if you count the number of synapses in the whole pathway, it is 2. This is synapse 1 and this is synapse 2. So, the Golgi tendon reflex or inverse stretch reflex or negative stretch reflex is a bisynaptic reflex. Bisynaptic reflex. BSR. Whereas the stretch reflex was MSR, monosynaptic reflex. Is the Golgi tendon reflex is clear to you? What is the motto of the reflex? What is the pathway of the reflex? What is the different types of nerve fibers carrying the impulse, and how it controls the increased tension built up within the muscle? This is clear, I think. Okay. We'll go to another topic today. So this is about the Golgi tendon reflex. Now, right at this moment, we shall go to a very interesting and critical aspect of the muscle length of the muscle fiber or contraction of the muscle fiber. The topic says, which is very interesting and intricate too, contraction of the muscle fiber to the desired length. Very, very important. Desired length. This is very important. Desired length means, this term requires to be explained. Desired length means the contraction will be such so that a specific job is performed. Say for example, I am trying to lift this duster from the table. So, as a result of lifting this duster, the contraction of the muscles of my forehand as well as my arm should be contracting in a desired length so that this lifting is possible. This is known as contraction of the muscle to the desired length. Desired means the required length to perform a specific voluntary muscular action. Specific voluntary muscular action. This is the contraction of the muscle to the desired length. Now, our nervous system is capable of performing this very important activity. For any voluntary movement whatsoever, our nervous system is capable of doing this thing, that is the contracting a particular muscle or the muscle concerned for that particular job to a desired length by two means. One is the direct action, another is the indirect or reflex action. The direct action means it is alpha motor led, alpha led action we call it, alpha led. And indirect reflex action means it is gamma led. So alpha led and the gamma led. Now when the alpha led will occur, when the gamma led will occur, I will be just telling you. Now so far as the alpha led is concerned, we are discussing the first thing, alpha led is concerned. The impulse from the higher centers are coming down to the spinal cord. They are coming both to the motor neurons of the spinal cord, alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron. Whenever the impulses are coming directly to the alpha motor neuron, the alpha and the gamma motor neuron, from where the superior control is coming, whenever they are coming directly to the alpha motor neuron, and from the alpha motor neuron the impulses are going to the muscle concerned for the contraction, and from the gamma motor neuron it is also going to the interfusal muscle fibers. You know quite well, because I talked about the muscle spindle which receives the gamma motor neuron as one of the important motor supply to a sensory receptor. Perhaps you can remember, yeah. So if this be the fact, then this contraction of the muscle concerned may be of two types. One is the alpha led, another is the gamma led. The alpha led means the impulses are coming from the higher center and directly stimulating the alpha motor neuron. Alpha motor neuron sends impulse to the muscle contraction, to the muscle concerned, and there is quick and rapid contraction of the muscle. Very, very important. Quick and rapid contraction of the muscle, because so far as the direct stimulation to the muscle is concerned, alpha motors are much more powerful than the gamma motors so far as the direct stimulation to the muscle is concerned. So there is powerful and very quick contraction so far as the alpha led contraction is concerned, but it has got some disadvantages. If there is a change in the external load, say for example I am lifting this particular duster, for which I am applying my alpha led traction mechanism, but if someone gives a load, extra load directly on this duster, what will happen? It will be very difficult for this alpha led contraction to maintain the desired muscle contraction. So it will be very difficult for the time being to control. There will be sagging of the hand like this, isn't it? If an additional load is imposed over it, there will be sagging of the hand because of the additional load. So if there is change in the external load, then it becomes very difficult for the alpha led contraction to maintain the muscle contraction at its desired level. So this is about the alpha led contraction. It is powerful. Advantage is it is a powerful and very quick and performs most of the activities if there is no disturbance of the external load, because whenever there is voluntary muscle action is done, the basic mechanism is that the brain sends a calculated impulse to the alpha motor neuron basing on the experience. For example, for lifting this duster, I have got the experience that this duster is of such and such weight, so that I can lift it easily, and as a result of which the brain sends a calculated dose of impulse to this particular activity so that it is performed. But if there is any disturbance or perturbations in the external load by any means, then it is very difficult for the brain to send another corrected impulse to the muscle concerned. It will take time and it may not be mathematically correct, so that it is very difficult for the person to tackle that additional load. Why? Because the desired length, contraction to the desired length is not possible to maintain if there is any perturbation in the load. So that is about the direct or alpha led contraction. What about the indirect, gamma led? Here also it is getting impulse from the higher centers, and sending impulse directly to the intrafusal muscle fibers or the muscle spindle, you know quite well. So as a result of which, what is happening? There is setting up of monosynaptic reflex. So it is the gamma pathway which sets up monosynaptic reflex, and there is reflex contraction of the muscle fiber. It is not dependent upon the external load, because whatever there is the external load, whatever may be any change in the external load, the gamma discharge remains unaltered and it stimulates the muscle spindle to set in monosynaptic reflex, and that monosynaptic reflex causes contraction of the extrafusal muscle fibers and the goal is achieved. That is, the contraction to the desired length is possible. So if it is gamma led, the advantage is that unlike alpha led, it is not dependent upon the external load. Whatever may be the disturbance in the external load, the monosynaptic reflex operates as a result of unhindered gamma discharge, and there is setting in of monosynaptic reflex and the extrafusal muscle fibers contract to the desired length. So that is the advantage of the gamma lead. Now what is the disadvantage? There must be a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that whenever the gamma lead contraction is there, it is very slow and weak. Slow and weak, whereas the alpha lead was very rapid and powerful. So there is a disadvantage of the gamma lead contraction. It is slow and weak. So this is rapid and strong. This is slow and weak. Both have got the advantages and the disadvantages. This is clear. Gamma lead contraction. So gamma lead contraction is also known as the length servo mechanism. Length servo mechanism, because it surveys or it monitors the length of the muscle fiber, consequently sets in monosynaptic reflex so that the muscle fiber length is adjusted and the muscle contracts to the desired length, so that a particular job or particular motor activity is performed. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of the direct and indirect reflex. But as you know very well, that the human brain is a very developed from the phylogenetic point of view, from the developmental viewpoint, from the application of intelligence to perform the day-to-day activity. So what will the human brain will do? The human brain will ultimately send impulse simultaneously to the alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron. So human brain will send impulse simultaneously to the alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron, so that its advantage are taken into account, its advantages are taken into account, but the disadvantages of both are nullified. Am I clear? Advantages of alpha led contraction, advantages of the gamma led contraction, both are taken, but their disadvantages are discarded, so that the muscle is contracted to the desired length. And this phenomenon of simultaneous discharge of alpha and the gamma motor neuron by the order of the hierarchy, by the order of the higher centers or hierarchy, it is phenomenon is known as the alpha gamma co-activation. Alpha gamma co-activation. What is that? This is very important. This alpha gamma co-activation human brain takes advantage of stimulating both the alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron in the anterior horn cell by the higher centers, and the muscles are possible to contract to a desired length by means of their combined action known as alpha gamma coactivation. Say for example, whenever there is alpha led movement is there, so alpha motor neurons are contracting. If there is any disturbance of the external load is there, then what happens? There is immediate setting of the monosynaptic reflex. And say for example, if the length shortening is less than what is required, the monosynaptic reflex is setting and the residual contraction causes the muscle to be reaching at the desired length. For example, say for example, this is a muscle setup. The upper one is the extrafusal muscle, extrafusal fiber, and the lower one is the intrafusal fiber. This is the extrafusal fiber, this is the interfusal fiber, this is the equatorial region of the muscle spindle denoted by a circle. So if it is alpha led, say for example, if it is alpha led and the contraction stops over here, but the required contraction will have to be up to this point. Desired length is up to this point. So as a result of alpha dependent contraction, if the muscle contracts up to this level, the purpose will not be served. The additional load will not be tackled. So then what happens? Then immediately there is setting off of the monosynaptic reflex by the stretching of the, because the muscle fiber whenever stretching by the alpha motor neuron, muscle fiber is causing contraction to maintain the muscle at a desired length, to bring the muscle at a desired length. But say for example, if due to the alpha motor discharge, the contraction is up to this level, the blue one, instead of up to the black level, it should come to the black level. So there is a deficiency of shortening of length from here to here. This is the deficiency of shortening the length. This deficiency is made up by the simultaneous setting of the monosynaptic reflex, and this MSR is set up immediately over here to cause the further shortening. So what is happening? As a result of alpha drive, the muscle contraction was not up to the desired length. It was up to this point, these 2 points, this one and this one. But the required length to perform the job should be up to these black lines. So what is happening immediately inside the muscle? As a result of simultaneous gamma discharge, alpha gamma coactivation, alpha discharge is causing this one, and gamma discharge is compensating the deficiency of the length shortening done by the alpha motor fibers. Am I clear? So what is gamma motor discharge is causing? Gamma motor discharge is following the length of the extrafusal muscle fiber, whether it is up to the desired length. If not, it becomes active. There is stretching of the central region, equatorial region, it becomes active, and as a result of activation, there is setting up a monosynaptic reflex leading to further contraction of the extrafusal muscle fibers, so that the deficit of shortening in length is immediately made up. So what is gamma is doing? Gamma is just following the performance of the alpha, whether it is performing perfectly or not. If there is any deficit, this deficit is immediately made up by the gamma motor neurons, which does it by setting the monosynaptic reflex. Why? Because the higher centers have sent the discharge to both the lower centers, that is the alpha motor neuron as well as gamma motor neuron. Alpha is trying to contact the muscle to the desired length, but if there is any deficiency due to the disturbance of the external load, it is made up by the gamma motor neuron, which sets in monosynaptic reflex, and the deficiency of shortening is made up immediately. This is the mechanism of alpha gamma coactivation. That's all for today.